In this short video, I'm going to talk a little bit about planning your research paper. So far, at about the 40 students in the class, there's about 5 of you who I've checked off and you're ready to roll and start your research. The rest of you I either haven't heard from, or either you sent me an email telling me what your thesis is going to be on, but probably wasn't specific enough. So it got me thinking, and I had a couple ideas I wanted to share with you and maybe clarify more so what I'm looking for. Let's pretend we're going to think of this research paper as a large funnel. And the largest part of the funnel is going to be a very general topic. Let's call that earth science. You're taking this class, this might be your only earth science class, so a lot of the concepts and topics that we've gone over so far in this class might be new to you. And that's the whole purpose of this course, is just going to get you acquainted with things you weren't aware of before. But let's just say you were interested in something in earth science. If you're like most people, where you go for that is the internet. Maybe you go to a wiki site, or maybe you just go to the web and just search on Google. You can find out some general information about anything from global warming to I talked about gold mining, and find out a little bit more about the science on that. Well, if you wanted to drill down a little bit more specific, you could maybe look at, let's say, a textbook. Now in our textbook, we've got a chapter on climate change, we've got a chapter on volcanoes, we've got a chapter on earthquakes. So we're getting a little bit more specific there. We could even go more so, and there are some whole books that are on volcanoes. So you might be able to find a book published just on a specific topic on earth science. And then if I go to the very bottom of this funnel, right down here, this is the area where the university research is. This is also known as the peer review. This is the peer review that I'm looking for you to find. So this is the primary research. So usually, as you've been looking into the published research that you've been on your topic, you can probably notice if you look at the top of the articles, just about all of them are written by university professors, and they do some research, and they are researching something that is very specific. It's a topic with the highest level of resolution. So they're really drilling down on something very specific. It takes a lot of time to do that, and a lot of effort and a lot of money. What I'm asking you to do for this is I want you to focus your efforts on this area, right in there. This is where I want you to have research paper number 1. And number 2 and number 3. So all of our research papers are going to be in this zone. So you're going to take the information that you learn from your peer-reviewed research, this university publications, and you're going to bring that into a paper, into this zone. So that's where you're going to gather your 10, 15 different peer-reviewed research. What I've noticed that many of you, based on your sending me the emails, is that your topics are tending to be right up here. They're too general, which is okay because that's really just the first step of your research. When you start your research, you're going to be up here. You're going to be doing some web researches. You're going to be learning a little bit more about the topic. If your topic is on gold mining, so you're going to see what you can find on the web on gold mining. You're going to look in the textbook and see what you can find there. You might be able to find some gold mining textbooks to read a little bit more about. But eventually you're going to get down to this level down here where we've got our peer-reviewed primary research. And then if you're able to collect enough similarities on the research, meaning there's similar research but different on that same specific topic, then you're pulling those research papers and you're going to bring those up into this zone where you're going to write your research paper. What you don't want to do is you don't want to take some peer-reviewed research and you don't want to bring it all the way up to something very general. That would make for a really bad research paper. And very difficult. How it would read if you were to do that is that you would be talking on a very general terms, and then you would be throwing out these very specific, detailed research, which just wouldn't flow very well, because the tone of your paper would be very general, but then you would then be thrown in something that's very specific to support that. So it wouldn't work. So what I'm gathering based on what I've seen so far is a lot of you are stuck in this step right here and haven't dug deep enough. So do some research in your textbook, do some more research on the web, and then do a lot of research down here. And then this is where the FLC library, you're going to find a lot of your topics. And you're going to you might have to read through 20, 30, maybe even 40 different publications until you find 10 that are really good and that all kind of fit together and support your thesis. And so what I'm hoping that you will have completed by the end of this week would be a thesis sentence. And there's been a few common problems. I'm going to list those out. The first one is, I'm noticing these emails from the class, is they're too general. For example, it reads more like a title of a paper. Like, let's say you were interested in climate change. So I might get an email from a student saying, I'm going to do my research paper on global warming. But it's too general. You're still you're up right here, and you just need to get down, refine, and get down into that peer-reviewed research. And the second error that I've noticed is that it's not written as a thesis sentence. Be sure that the sentence is a complete sentence, and it's also very specific on what your paper is going to be. Let me give you an example. Let's take my funnel idea, and I'm going to describe what your intro, paragraph might look like. So you're going to start off with something very general. Use this same funnel concept. And the first sentence might be something very general on, let's see, I was just talking with someone today about, or emailing back and forth, and their topic was about mass wasting. And they were interested in mass wasting events in California. So you might have your first sentence be something very general about mass wasting and its involvement in the rock cycle and how that moves sediments and soil around. And then you can get more specific in your second sentence, and then you can get more specific in your third sentence, and then perhaps by your fourth or your final sentence is where you're going to have your thesis. This is going to be your thesis sentence. So this should be very specific. So by the time I read through your first paragraph of your research paper number 1, I should have a very clear idea on what your paper is going to be about. And this is what I'm asking for in you to do as your very first step. Because this thesis sentence is based on this university research piece. So that's why I'm wanting you to dig down and find that peer-reviewed research. That's going to be the supporting evidence for your thesis. So you might have an idea, you might be thinking about it up here in the websites, searching the websites, you're looking in your textbook, but you got to drill down a little bit deeper to get into that peer-reviewed research to come up with a very clear thesis. So make sure you're writing that as a thesis sentence, and email that to me by the end of this week. We got our paper is due just in I think just about 2 weeks from now. So you don't have much time remaining. There's doing this first step. I think most students think, oh yeah, that's pretty easy. I'll just send them my topic and kind of have a few ideas and then just do the rest later. But these steps to get your thesis together and get a good thesis is a lot of work. And I've noticed from my previous semesters teaching this course that the first paper people usually don't do too well on it. And the most common error that they make is they're too general, and their thesis isn't clear enough, and they're not specific enough, and they didn't quite organize their ideas well enough. Keep in mind that you have the FLC Writing Center, so you can just make an appointment. I think they even have drop-ins too. If you've never done a research paper before, I encourage you to use those resources. And also go into our Folsom Lake College Library. Wonderful librarians. They're very helpful. So use those resources. Doing these research papers, I think it's going to cover about half of your total course grade. So you want to do a great job on these papers. And as always, if you got any questions, you can always email me or stop by my office hours.